When inspiration hits, capturing it can sometimes be harder than expected. There are moments when I've got an idea in my head, but my limited ability on guitar or keys means I can't always play what I'm hearing. When this happens, there's a technique I like to use called Varispeed, a technique first popularised by the Beatles and their producer George Martin back in the 60s using reel-to-reel tape machines. Varispeed allows you to manipulate the playback speed of your entire track, allowing you to adjust both tempo and pitch simultaneously. By slowing down a part of the track that's too fast to play in real time, I can really focus on getting the performance right. And once that's recorded, I can bring it back to its original speed without losing that live feel. So let's jump into Logic and I'll show you how you can do it in there. First things first, click the grey bar at the top, and then you want to make sure you select Custom, and then you can click on Varispeed, and you'll see that appear on the bar at the top. There you've got three options. Speed only, which will only affect the tempo of the audio. Varispeed, which affects both the tempo and the pitch of the audio. And Varispeed Plus, which does both of those, plus the MIDI. For this track, it was the guitar part that I had in my head, but I knew I wouldn't be able to play it at the tempo I wanted, which is 92. So I slowed that down 3 semitones and I was able to play it at that slower speed. I could speed it back up. With this guitar, I recorded straight into my interface, and then I used one of Logic's stock amps and also a pedal board which just had some delay on it. Super simple. On top of that, I added an RC20 for a bit of wobble and some noise, plus Soothe 2 just to get rid of some of the harsh frequencies I got when I was recording it in. On top of that, I added a couple of simple guitar harmonies, just a few slides on top, which adds a bit of character to that guitar that was already there. So now we've got that guitar part down, let's dive into the rest of the sample. Up next, I layered Sky Keys with a Shearwater piano. And for those that watched the last video, you'll know that these are a couple of my favourite synths. The piano was just there to add a little bit more attack to that synth from Sky Keys. Yeah, it's pretty low in the mix, but you can hear the difference if it's not there. And effects-wise, they've both got Sketch Cassette on there, just to add a little bit of wobble or that wobbly tape sound. After that, I've got this really short, haunting backing vocal in there. With stuff like that, I like to record it 3 times. So pan 1 hard left, 1 hard right, and keep the other one in the middle. And on the vocal chain for that, I've got one of Logic's stock compressors. There's an EQ to get rid of some of the lows and some of the highs. There's then a chorus and UAD plate reverb, which is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, creating that kind of haunting sound I was speaking about. There's also one other guitar part in there, which is like the lead melody for the sample. Nothing too crazy going on with this one. Again, it's just a Logic stock amp with the pedal board that comes with Logic. You know, the plugins inside Logic are pretty good, so a lot of the time you can just stick with those. And the final thing I added was a few little moments, little kind of one-shot things just to bring the sample alive. For those, I use East-West. Again, it's just full of strange, interesting and weird instruments that, yeah, for one-shots and things like that are really cool. So there's an erhu in there, which is like a Chinese violin kind of instrument. There's also a glockenspiel in that and a celeste. And I think that's pretty much it. So when I make these samples, a lot of the time I'm doing it just so I can flip it into a beat. So I'll bounce out the whole sample and then bring it back into another project and yeah, just work on the beat from there. So with this one, I bounced it out, brought it into Serato sample. Then I used their like little fine samples button, which is a massive cheat code. It means I don't have to chop the sample myself. They'll just find little pieces of the sample which they think sound cool. So once it chopped that, I reversed it, and then I just like twiddled around on the keyboard trying to find a little pattern that I like the sound of. Recorded that in. Then I added bass, piano, a lead part on my OP6 synth. And at the time I was too lazy to record my own drums. So I took a sample from this sample pack on the screen now. Yeah, it's full of amazing drum samples and it's free. And that beat came together super quick. It's like a sort of West Coast vibe. Came together in like 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, that sounds like this. I think that's a good tip. Sometimes if you're stuck making beats and stuff, just make some simple samples. It could be a few instruments together, bounce those out, you can reverse them, you can chop them, you can make something really cool, and that can like inspire ideas. So I definitely recommend that for sure. But yeah, that's it for this week's sample breakdown. Before I let you go though, producers, if you're looking for some free samples, I've just put out a free sample pack on my label, Loop Kitchen. You can get that by clicking on the link in the description and signing up to my mailing list. If you like this video, be sure to click like and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to do these every week just to give you guys an idea of my process and hopefully be helpful in giving tips and ways that I work. Yeah, leave a comment if there's anything you guys want to know about. You want to know more about Logic, you want to know more about making samples, yeah, just leave a comment and I'll see you next time.